federal judge denied Donald Trump's motions for a mistrial in the E Jean Carroll defamation case, saying, and this is the fun part, that the former president's arguments had no merit and are entirely pointless. To do the mistrial would be fundamentally a massive waste of time, judicially, socially, and in terms of making sure that E Jean Carroll, who has already been found to have had her rights violated, both in terms of the sexual abuse as well as the defamation, from getting the money that she is owed. So there was an initial statement that was provided by the judge and then a written order. And in that, the judge said that granting a request for a mistrial would have been entirely pointless because it would only mean that the case would start over. Now, that is pointless from the point of view of E Jean Carroll or Judge Kaplan. Obviously, that is very much the point for Alina Habba, Trump's legal team, and Trump himself. He wants to waste time. He wants to drag this thing out. That's it. I don't know if that's lost on the judge, but so where did this come from? Trump lawyer Alina Habba requested the mistrial after Carroll discussed deleting some death threats she had received to help with her anxiety and, quote, get control of the situation. So therefore, Habba accused Carroll of deleting evidence and made the unusual mistrial request in front of the jury. So that is not technically deleting evidence because the judge ruled that only after the point where the where the lawsuit had been launched would deleting evidence count as deleting evidence. But think about how twisted that is anyway. The idea that she had more death threats than we saw, and the fact that she didn't keep all of them implies that you should have a mistrial. So Kaplan said that he denied the motion immediately during that hearing, partly because it was untimely, since the defendant had been aware of the alleged deletion of messages for nearly a year before the trial. If the mistrial were declared, a new trial would be called and the same exact issues would be in effect, meaning that it would serve no useful purpose. Kaplan wrote that Habba's written motion for a mistrial was at least doubly frivolous and entirely baseless. Granting it now would be an even less sensible and a bootless exercise, which is an expression that I've literally never heard before, but I don't mind it. And by the way, pointed out that the fact that they had requested this mistrial in front of the jury when they weren't supposed to was needlessly prejudicial to Miss Carroll as well. And also, it's stupid for so many reasons, so bear with me. If they were to grant the mistrial, the only actual effect of it would be that you could theoretically then ask Miss Carroll questions about the messages and why she deleted them. But they already did that during the first trial. So they knew about the deletion for a year. They sat on it, not using it, maybe because of incompetence, maybe specifically because they thought they could get a mistrial if they didn't act on it then. They've already acted on it in the courtroom in the only way that you reasonably could. And it doesn't change any of the fundamental facts of the case. He has already been found guilty to have sexually abused her. That is not going to change based on some death threats that non-Trump individuals sent to E Jean Carroll. And so it's an utter waste of time, and that is, of course, the entire point. They don't want E Jean Carroll to get the money that she is owed. They want to drag it out, waste as much time as possible. Habba did not respond to requests for comment on Wednesday. Not surprisingly, she once again utterly failed in court. I'm assuming she will console herself by going on right-wing media. And I will remind you that the stakes are very high in this. E Jean Carroll is owed $83.3 million, and that number could balloon from here. And I'm not even counting other defamation cases which theoretically could come. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.